Hello, everybody. Baz here, and Shriggs going to be giving you guys some fireside chat with structured PvP and just kind of our current thoughts on it as of beta weekend number 2. The stress test is coming up in a couple days, so we'll be giving you some more thoughts on that as well. But for now, we're going to be talking about the current metagame and just kind of the current situation and overall status of what structured PvP is as a whole. So, Shriggs, I know you're a little bit under the weather, but thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. It's boring talking to myself, so it's always nice to have someone kind of going off thought-wise and counter arguments. But before we begin, let's explain a little bit about what structured PvP is and what exactly you are going to be doing in sPvP, which is its most commonly referred to as the abbreviation. Structured PvP is a player versus player mode, which allows competition on an even footing. There are two primary modes of play: tournament and hot join play. Hot join play that's on their wiki. That's according to the official Guild Wars 2 wiki, so I'm not sure if that name will be changed because it sounds kind of cheesy, but oh well. Basically, what you do is you group up with 5 of your friends or 5 of your guildies or whatever, and you can either join a tournament, which is really kind of a unique thing to the Guild Wars genre in general. They do this in the first one, which is technically called Guild versus Guild. And tournament is more of a Guild versus Guild, I guess, environment, but it is more of a actual tournament than a okay, this guild's fighting this guild for this many weeks or so on and so forth. So you have your tournament mode, you have your just regular, hey, let's just queue up with a bunch of random people. I call that solo queuing. You can also, group up with a bunch of your friends and queue that way as well without joining a tournament. So there is that. Shriggs, I know that you have been really kind of delving into the tournament a little bit more than I have. What has been your experiences, and what kind of bugs have you encountered?
Well, Baz, the only bug that the first thing I'll answer is the bugs. The only bug I've really encountered is sometimes in the middle of a tournament, this happened once, as I recall, it'll boot your entire team from the tournament.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And you just have to start a new one.
That sucks.
Yeah, but this has only happened once, so they may have fixed it. It may just be very rare. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's not that big if it only ever happened once, and I played quite a bit of tournament gameplay, so seems all right.
Now, as far as the solo queue, how's been your experience with that?
My experience has been very good. Most of the time, I get really competent players, and if we don't win, we're either very close to winning. So the metagame is actually quite balanced. Unless the other team is just flat out significantly better than us, we do pretty good.
Yeah, I have noticed that. Solo queue is a lot different than, say, like, League of Legends, Dota, StarCraft multiplayer.
Or even World of Warcraft.
Or even World of Warcraft, if we really kind of want to compare it to a big-name MMO. Mm-hmm. The people that are in solo queue, at least for right now, at least in the beta weekends, because it's just people that have pre-purchased the game, so that doesn't include everybody, are very, very, non-head-in-ass type of people. They they really know how to work as a team, how to really communicate. I know a lot of games that I participated in where, we were constantly typing, incoming clock tower, incoming windmill, certain NPCs we're gonna try and get those before the 5-minute mark or whatever. So I think that from a competitive standpoint and from a enjoyment standpoint, it's a lot more enjoyable. If not to repeat myself, there, it is definitely one of those more I guess enjoyable solo queue type of situations, which is really nice because it kind of allows you to actually enjoy the game, enjoy your class, and not be forced to, okay, well, I got to play a healer or some other BS like that. So actually kind of a good segue there.
Well,
yes.
That's actually a very good point. Because the tank healer DPS system is pretty much non-existent in Guild Wars 2, it's more of damage mitigation.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a team that's imbalanced by, well, we don't have a flag runner or we only have one healer. You're never going to have that.
Yeah. you're not going to have the priest mage rogue combo, which was just insanely ridiculous in WoW Arena 3 versus 3, and a couple of the different variations, and of course, the 5 versus 5 and whatnot. So, yeah, I would definitely agree with that point. 100% agree. Uh, as far as the non-Holy Trinity aspect goes in PvP, let's actually talk a little bit about what that has actually done to the actual metagame. Metagame is a word that I honestly hate, but it's really the only best. It's really the only way of describing the current state of the game. I guess it's the I don't know. I never understand why people call it metagame. It doesn't make any sense. I think it's just supposed to be a cool technical word. I mean, honestly, I think that's really all it's there for. Especially in Guild Wars 2. I think it's more prominent in other games that actually make sense. But as far as like metagame, quote unquote, in Guild Wars, uh, there really is not a lot of huge kind of differences when it comes to class versus class or class setup versus class setup. Now, of course, that being said, different classes versus different classes is obviously going to make a huge difference in the actual combat state of structured PvP. But as far as the Holy Trinity is concerned, tank, heal, DPS, there is none of that. It's all just like Shriggs said, damage mitigation, a lot of dodging. Dodging is very, very important in structured PvP. And everyone has their own heal. There are classes that do have heals, like the Engineer, the Elementalist. And, excuse me, I have the hiccups at the worst opportune time. And it is something that I think really kind of engages PvP in a more balanced and more welcome way.
Yeah, and I actually believe there's one other thing to this we need to touch on, and that's that ArenaNet has built a UI in the sPvP system that is incredibly user-friendly.
Yes.
Say, there are actually games I remember winning where no one talked to each other, but there was always the announcer who would let people know when an enemy has taken the clock tower or destroyed a trebuchet or gotten their trebuchet back, or you couldn't keep the keep.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it is definitely things like that where ArenaNet definitely shines in the whole competitive PvP aspect. Now, when it comes to world versus world, which we'll touch on in other videos and whatnot, but it definitely makes a huge difference to have those key audible phrases, some of the UI pop-ups, and just some of the stuff that would normally be like on World of Warcraft, mods or some other stupid BS that you would have to go into the config files and change and do a bunch of cool, weird, stupid symbols to get this thing to work. They've already implemented it for you. So as far as that's concerned, that is a very good point. It's just the fluidity, I'm not sure if that's a word. Fluidity, thank you, is just really, really present, and you can almost notice it instantly when it comes to structured PvP, which is really nice, again. So yeah, there's a little bit, kind of a small background on what we've experienced so far and just kind of the overall broadness of structured PvP. But let's actually get into some of the quote-unquote current metagame and a little bit about class balance. So let's actually get right into those. We're going to start with the metagame. And right now, the metagame is pretty much up in the air. Wouldn't you say? It's just kind of everywhere.
Everyone's just trying to grab what they can and figure out what they can, and not really sure what to do with it.
Yeah, I have come across some pretty interesting teams. There have been I have actually come across all Ranger teams, or which is actually really potent because they destroy a lot of us before we even get to them. Because they do have that extra range. Plus they have their pet. They could be spec'd into nature spirits, which are those weird, creepy looking things that are ghosts but look like trees that walk around, which are actually really neat. They were in Guild Wars 1. I'm not sure if for those of you who have actually played Guild Wars 1, some of the nature spirits that they had were, I just thought, really neat looking. And one of the really popular builds is to go like heavy into the nature spirit traits. I almost said talent traits, if you will. And those are really, really neat because you're pretty much a walking buff machine, and you just buff the crap out of your whole team. So one ranger has that, and then the other four rangers are pretty much spec'd out to, either for like survival or some like super DPS combo. So yeah, like Shriggs said, the metagame is just completely, literally, you throw jacks up in the air and you hope you don't get poked in the eye with one of them. Shriggs, what has been your experience so far?
My experience has been with the Engineer, the Warrior, and the Guardian, and I gotta say, the Guardian and the Warrior are definitely easier. Well, the Warrior is probably the easier class to play of the three.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using a sword.
Okay.
If you're using other weapons, it can be a little tricky. Because the sword is just the straight up damage spec for the Warrior. Or
Right.
Soldier, as it is in Guild Wars 2.
Right. Well, how does that affect the metagame, so to speak?
Not terribly. You get one. Let's see here. The Warrior has a leap and a charge to get into range, and you can switch out to a ranged weapon if you can't get into range of someone, like a bow or a rifle. And that's very interesting. I actually played a Warrior with a sword bow combo, and it actually worked incredibly well. It was very effective.
Now,
I was able to do
are you talking sword shield or great sword?
great sword.
Okay. Explain a little bit about the great sword so our viewers can a little bit understand it a little bit better.
The great sword is basically very big damage dealing. What would you call it? It's like a build spec. Just the abilities you get with it.
Yeah.
One's a blade. Yeah, one's a blade fury. One's a charge. One's a leap. One's a throw, and I forget what the fifth one is. It's another huge damage dealing. It's like it's like a short leap to do heavy damage and maybe knock someone down.
Yeah, the great sword build is definitely one of those very unique ones. That it's not just I have a huge sword, I hit you with stick type of thing. No, it's a lot of just huge.
Big swings, lots
Big
of AoE,
swings,
and
lots of
chasing people
AoE.
down.
Battle control. I think would be the best explanation of a great sword.
Because my opinion of that use of the Warrior would be to plant him on a spot and let him defend it.
Yeah. So you said great sword bow combo. How does that affect the current state of the game right now?
It was I thought the bow worked very well with the Warrior because you would have abilities that are kind of akin to a Warrior. You get fire arrows. You can get a really big stun with the bow, aimed shot, I believe, and some cripples. Stuff to slow people down and then do heavy damage to them.
Okay, so the bow kind of really complemented the great sword, saying if they were running away, you'd be able to use pin down and immobilize your foe. Leap them up there with rush or something, and just kind of completely decimate your foe with that. So the warrior great sword longbow build seems like would be a pretty potent build. Did you use the rifle at all?
I did not.
Okay, I was just curious because I heard that a lot of the rifle just abilities for a lot of classes weren't as good as the bow ones. So, but that actually takes me to the engineer, and I know that's probably going to be your main class.
Mm-hmm.
You and me were talking a while back, just as the beta weekend ended, that the current state of the engineer is pretty good, but it just takes a lot of work and effort for it to be effective.
It really does, because there is just literally so much you can do with this class.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a flamethrower, a chemical gun, mines, bombs, grenades.
Right.
Just so much stuff. And when I go into PvP with the engineer, I usually have the rifle, because it gives me the advantage of mobility.
Okay.
And power.
Oh, okay, yeah. I actually just pulled up the weapon skill list here for the engineer rifle, and yeah, it looks like you have a lot of just kind of in your face, kind of get out of my way, or hey, I'm right here, surprise type of abilities. Now, are you allowed to switch weapons as a engineer?
I am not.
Okay.
You are allowed to have bundles through the skill points, but not other weapons.
So, the bundles, those are technically called weapon kits, correct?
Just bundles.
Okay, so What explain a little bit about that. Like I'm seeing a couple of the skills there, and there's one called device kit and one called weapon kit. Are those the actual bundles, or am I looking at the wrong page?
I think you're looking at the wrong page because they usually say bomb kit, mine kit, grenade kit, flamethrower.
Oh, okay,
Chemic-
okay. I
yeah.
see. The way the Guild Wars wiki put them in is weapon kits are the elixir gun, the flamethrower, the toolkit, and then device kits are bomb kit, grenade kit, med kit, and mine kit.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so what what is your favorite out of all those? And you're allowed to carry how many at a time?
You could fill up. You get 3 slots for skill points, so you can have 3 of them.
Okay. Now, those are your main form of skills, correct?
Yes, plus a few other abilities like you can get rocket boots or certain prayers. Like as a human, you can get prayers to your gods or what else was there?
Okay, so
Different. You can actually get different buff elixirs.
so the engineer is kind of class based then,
Yes.
or excuse me, race based.
Every class is race based.
Well, right,
You'll get some
but more so with the engineer and I think the what's the other class I'm thinking of?
guardian.
Yeah, the guardian. Um, because from what I understand, the guardian. See, I haven't delved into the guardian, so that's why I'm asking you these questions. So,
They seem to be pretty even on race specific and class specific skill traits.
okay,
So with the engineer, my favorite bundle would probably be the flamethrower.
okay.
Simply because in a capture point scenario,
Hmm.
you have the ability to knock people away from your point with your flamethrower, and the engineer with the flamethrower kit by himself can pretty much take a point by himself
Wow.
and then hold it.
Well, now is that due to some of the turrets you're able to get as well?
Territory.
Yeah, well, because from my understanding, the way I've seen the engineer work is he's able to really lay down a lot of good turrets and while using the flamethrower at the same time. So,
Yeah,
um,
like with the flamethrower, you can actually push and pull enemies away and towards you.
mhm.
So with the engineer, what you would do to take a point by yourself was if you were fighting one other person, you would pull out your rifle, use your knockback, then you would use your net while standing in the circle. He would stay there. You would capture the point a little more. Then you switch to the flamethrower kit, and when it gets close enough, you blast him away with the flamethrower, and then you would be able to get the point all by yourself.
Wow, that's actually pretty useful. Now, is that just a one-on-one basis, or does that affect a large cone of enemies?
2v2, you could probably do it if you were good enough because you would have the rifle ability for one person and
Hmm.
then the flamethrower ability for another. So you could be actively keeping them off of the point.
Okay.
And there is, what is it, hit detection or, hit detection for characters
Hmm.
in PvP. Like an enemy cannot walk through you. So if you were stand at the edge of the capture point, he would not. He would have to walk around you. And if you don't let him walk around you, you can take the point just from doing that.
Wow. Okay. Um, i Explain a little bit how turrets work and their usefulness.
The turrets, you can place them anywhere you want, and then they can stay there for as long as you want. You could actually, like, if you were to place a turret in the mansion point,
Hmm.
you can walk over to the what is the windmill,
Yeah.
and it would still be there. There's no range limit in which they would be destroyed.
Now, the turrets are not macro based, and by that I mean that you don't control them yourselves. It's all strictly artificial intelligence, and the computer takes
They
over.
have special abilities you can choose to use.
Okay.
Like with the rocket turret, there's a special rocket that you can click to fire as a secondary ability,
Hmm.
which will knock opponents down.
Okay. Now, have you found them to be pretty useful, or do you mainly just kind of are more
They were
focused?
excessively useful
Okay.
because they would deal a lot of damage and knock down characters when they were casting some sort of special ability.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Very nice. So the engineer is pretty much a point defense class.
Yes, And with his versatility, you can actually do a ton of damage at range,
Hmm.
and then getting close to do heavy damage. And you could easily take someone out if you're good enough.
Wow. Now, have you had any experience with excuse me, pistol and the shield combo?
I have, and that is a very difficult combo to use because your shield is up for only a very short period of time.
Uh-huh.
But in that period of time, if you were to click on the shield ability a second time, you like fire a discharge, which will either inflict debuffs or damage to enemies.
Wow. Is the pistol useful at all, or is that mainly just to kind of annoy people?
The pistol is actually very useful. It can do a lot of heavy, steady damage.
Okay.
Because I know the pistol. It's you get a basic attack,
Mhm.
a rapid fire attack that poisons enemies.
Yeah.
A let's see here. Its third attack is, I believe, the what is it? Not the goo attack, but the
It's
it's an electrical discharge that stuns enemies and bounces to other enemies as well.
so wow, so you actually get a blind and confusion shot,
Mhm.
which is really really useful. Um, you also get a immobilize shot as well, which is really nice too. So the pistol shield is still pretty useful though. It's not the unuseful thing that people have been saying over the forums last weekend.
It's not useless. It's just incredibly difficult.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, that brings us to the probably one of the most hated classes in Guild Wars 2 right now, via just team fights and whatnot, is the Guardian. Oh, the Guardian. The Guardian is one of those classes that just excels at just standing there and taking it like a man.
Hmm.
He has a lot of health. Well, actually, let me retract that statement. Um, the first beta weekend, he actually had quite a lot of health, and then this beta weekend, I noticed. I'm not sure if you noticed, Shriggs, that he does not have as much health as he used to. It is really a lot. A lot of his stuff is more based now on damage
Uh-huh.
mitigation rather than just being a HP sponge.
Hmm. I recall in the very first beta weekend event, I was playing in the one of the maps,
Hmm.
and I was going 1-1 against the Guardian with my engineer as a rifle engineer,
Hmm.
and I was pretty much going toe to toe with him.
Wow.
We could not kill each other until someone else came in to help me finish him off.
Wow, really?
It was about a 5-minute battle.
That's well, those are famous in Guild Wars too.
Yep,
So,
we were evenly matched in every respect.
which is really encouraging because you have a class that doesn't really do a lot of damage, which is the Guardian, and then you have the Engineer, which kind of does mediocre damage but can still hold its ground defensively. So you have two defensive classes that are pretty balanced in my opinion. But the Guardian I think was able to probably survive because he does have a lot of damage soaking abilities, and you were
It
able
was
to
it was a mace and shield Guardian, I believe.
Okay. Um, what has been your experiences with the Guardian? Because I know this past beta weekend you have actually played it. What were your what were your likes and what were some of your dislikes?
With the Guardian, they did nerf him a little bit,
Hmm.
but it was still easy to play him. It is easy to do your jobs with him. It's not like a engineer's pistol shield. Like actually, in one game I was playing the engineer. I ran into a Guardian with a sword,
Hmm.
and I did not play quite as right as I should have, and he kind of wrecked my shit.
Yeah, from what I hear, the Greatsword Guardian is pretty ridiculous. But
It is. He just pumps out so much damage. If you don't dodge it at the right time, you kind of screw yourself
now,
over really
is
bad.
that due to his Greatsword abilities, or do you think that is due to his actual skills that he actually has?
I would say more the abilities because, as I recall, he has a ranged sweeping strike, and then some really heavy close range attacks that do massive damage that I could not, for the life of me,
Do anything
survive.
about? Okay,
Hey,
so
if I had a pistol shield, maybe.
so perhaps the Guardian with the great sword is a little bit uh, I don't want to say overpowered
I would
because
say tweaking is needed there.
tweaking is needed. That is a very good way of putting it. What type of
Nothing.
Guardian did you play?
I often, well, I only played the sword, shield, mace, shield guardian.
And how was that as far as defensive capabilities and helping your team, giving them certain damage mitigation buffs, and just kind of holding a point?
Defensively holding a point, this thing is amazing because of its its big bubble shield ability to push enemies out of the attacking point, plus
Hmm.
the guardian shield wall where you put up the thing that deflects projectiles. It's just a really good defensive class.
So now, is that do you remember what ability that is? Because I see it all the time, and I did not actually like look into it because I just was like, "Ooh, shiny bubble, that's cool."
Yeah, it's the very it's one of the shield abilities. It's the fifth ability.
Okay, okay, so okay, which is let's see, okay, that would be Shield of Absorption, which creates a dome around you, pushes foes back, and absorbs projectiles. Which is actually pretty cool because there were a lot of complaints like about that the Guardian might be one of those stupid paladin classes, but it's far from it. It really is a lot about using a lot of your skills and just a lot of your just kind of defensive abilities to really kind of assist your allies. Did you dabble in the healing at all?
Um, I used a staff,
Hmm.
but that it didn't actually have many healing. I think the staff has one healing ability, but the rest are ranged attack abilities.
Okay. Now, did you feel the staff was kind of a silly weapon to have for him?
No, actually, because I believe it's the ultimate with the staff is pretty ridiculous.
Really?
You set fire on the ground and you set people on fire and shoot lasers everywhere, and you're just kind of wrecking everybody.
Oh, so a laser show. Oh,
A laser show with fire.
nice. Cool. Well, I hope that kind of gives you guys a little bit of kind of in-depthness of the warrior, the engineer, and the guardian. Keep in mind, we will be doing more in-depth coverage when the game slowly gets released and we have actually more time to kind of sit down and delve into stuff. But
And let me make one more point.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
The Guardian shield abilities, the bubble and the shield wall, they last for a very short amount of time. Like all abilities in Guild Wars 2, they are only up for a very short period of time. So when you use these abilities, you always have to make sure it's at the best possible moment when you're taking heavy amounts of damage. If you just, well, there's one guy right there, bubble.
Yeah.
Three more guys came in the back. Crap, I'm dead.
Yeah, I mean the shield has a 40-second cooldown, so that's also a big deal. So that's actually a really good point, and that's actually kind of leading into our next discussion is class balance. And with class balance, I feel that the game is actually pretty balanced in general. There are only a couple of, I think, honestly, there's only like one or two classes that I feel probably need some tweaks, or some balance changes, or whatever you want to call them. And those would honestly be probably the Warrior and the Guardian.
Yes.
The Warrior has just this unique ability to just chain, knock down, knock back, knock over, tip over, cow tip, stun, chain you to death. It's just, I have literally been knocked down by a warrior for 10 seconds. And just, I've just been like, well, I'm just going to sit here and watch my character die. This is exciting. And that's after I blow a couple of my shadow steps and stuff that gets me out of stuns and stuff like that. So, as primary engineer player, what classes did you have the hardest time with? Were they the Guardian and the Engineer, or did you have trouble with other classes?
The warrior, not so much. Engineer, more so.
Okay. Wait. So you had more trouble with your mirror class?
No. I had more trouble with the guardian as an engineer.
Oh, okay. And well, I think that's every class though, because well, the Engineer doesn't do a lot of bleed
Well,
damage, does it?
more trouble with the guardian with the great sword. Every other guardian I could take on pretty good.
Okay, and so it sounds like the great sword for both the warrior and the guardian were just a little bit too much damage output. Really, excuse me. Um, That's actually what I found. I played primarily a thief and an elementalist the past two beta weekends, and yeah, I definitely found that the damage output with the great sword users were just kind of ridiculous. Uh, I don't want to actually add the Mesmer pistol build because that's actually a known bug and that'll get fixed. So that's something that I don't feel is a fair assumption. Uh, for those of you who might not be aware, there's a stat in Guild Wars 2 called Haste, which quickens your ability casting time, basically, and allows you to perform things twice as fast for about 4 seconds, which is really good. But one of the bugs that is in the current game right now actually allows one of the Mesmer's illusions that spawn them. You spawn the illusion, and the illusion that you spawn is some overload thing. I don't remember what the exact spell is called, but he'll just constantly sit there and go bam, 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 and he's only supposed to do that like once every 4 or 5 seconds, like bam, 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 and he's supposed to do like 3,000 damage to you, if that. But no, he just will constantly unload on you, and I remember the first time that happened to me, I died in about 2.5 seconds. That illusion alone, just by himself, did 20,000 damage to me in 2.5 seconds. So obviously that's not working as intended. So again, that's why I'm not going to actually bring that into the whole balance class. But as a thief, honestly, man, not to sound like a arrogant prick,
You
but
do.
okay, fine. But I found myself not having a lot of trouble with any of the classes other than my mirror class. There were a couple of really creative thief builds out there that just made me scratch my head and go, "What just happened?" There were a couple of ones. I think it was sword pistol, no, excuse me, pistol dagger, I want to say, and short bow. Some of those combinations just made me kind of go, "What the bloody crap is going on?" Because they would teleport everywhere, and they would just really kind of keep you confused through blinds and stuff. So those were really creative. But I think as far as like killing wise and overall damage wise, I would definitely have to say the Guardian and the Warrior really kind of messed with me as well. Guardian, I think it was just because he was able to soak up a lot of my burst, since I am a thief and that's what my class is based on, is a lot of burst and combat survivability. So the Guardian really gave me trouble in a 1 versus 1 scenario because I wasn't able to burst him down quick enough, and I had a good amount of condition damage stacked up on my gear and whatnot, but he was just either able to take it off really quick or just kind of survive the bleeds, and I would just die. Obviously, the Warrior would just be able to knock me down constantly again and again. But yeah, I found that honestly, in a 1 versus 1 scenario, a mere thief, another thief that would be a little bit more skilled than I was, or just had a really, really creative trait build, would usually kick my ass, which is really encouraging, to be honest with you. I enjoy being owned by someone who's more creative than I am and using something that generally doesn't work in PvP very well, like a short bow, to kick my butt and just kind of go, "I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here." Oh, you're dead. And it's honestly frustrating. The first time I encountered it, I was like screaming, "You're hacking, you son of a bitch!" And
Well, to be honest, this is kind of sort of how we would imagine a Guardian or a Warrior to be. A character that would be able to soak up a lot of damage and then dish it out just as much,
right.
or even harder.
Well, yeah, and I think that honestly, in general, the class balance is pretty much next to near perfect. Obviously, there are a couple classes who just don't do a lot of damage. I definitely really want to try the Ranger class because I hear that they don't do as much damage as they really should because they are primarily a range class. And I get that people are like, "Well, every class can go range in melee." Or melee, excuse me, and I get that. But there are classes that are better suited for melee or range. Like the thief. The thief is great. Dual pistols is really fun, but you don't really have a lot of unique abilities that's useful. I mean, you have your unload ability, but that's really only good with haste. I mean, Shriggs knows that because I showed him what I could do.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So there are classes that do benefit better from a melee or a range standpoint. Obviously, the Elementalist is kind of a mixed class. Definitely one of those, just like the Engineer, who just has a lot of stuff that she can do. She has so many different spells. I always am like, okay, wait, I'm on this attunement, I have this, but I'm using this weapon, so I can only have this. But I have my other skills that I have this, and then I have my elite skill that has 3 other different skills, and it's just like, oh my gosh! Excuse me. As you can tell, me and Shriggs are both coughing, so we're sick, which is awesome. Darn weather, I swear.
Yay!
Yeah, darn kids. But, so, as far as my experience with the Elementalist Shriggs, I really enjoyed it. The healing aspect was really different. Very, very hard to get used to. I'm still not entirely convinced I've mastered that yet. It's annoying because, as Nick said from one of the guys from the Steering podcast, said, stand in my damn geyser, you stupid morons. Because, a lot of the heals are AoE based, and which makes sense from a combat standpoint because a lot of the fighting just kind of happens all over the field, and you want to be able to heal more than one person at a time. Mm-hmm. But it's really annoying when you're like, okay, cool, and the cast just finishes, and they move out of the way, and you're like, duh! Son of a cracker. So that can get a little bit frustrating, but other than that, I feel that the Elementalist is pretty strong. Dagger is surprisingly ridiculously good. Shriggs, I'm not sure if you came up against any Dagger Elementalists, but
I believe I have, and that looked pretty cool.
That is such a fun build to just really do. I hate range classes. I've never been one of those guys that like to stand in the back and just kind of, okay, I'm shooting people. Yeah, I like to be in the fight and just kind of get my hands dirty. So Dagger Elementalist was really fun, which is probably one of the main reasons I actually haven't tried a Ranger or a Mesmer or something. I only tried it to do the bug, and whew, that was fun. But, so I mean, yeah, as far as class balance, I think that the game is pretty balanced. Shriggs, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, other than minor tweakings, this game is in a very good state, and I hope it continues to get to better states. And let's ArenaNet sticks to its guns like it has been, and I'm sure it will, and not listen to the vast majority of whining on the forums.
Well, I don't think they will because we've both seen them pretty much tell the trolls to pretty much F off very, very nicely and just say, stop complaining, the game's fine.
No, your thief will not be OP. We're not going to go down that road.
Yeah, and that's actually another thing I want to touch on just a little bit is the way ArenaNet has really kind of combined professionalism with, I don't want to say elitism, but I want to say common sense-ism, if that makes any sense.
You could just say common sense.
Yeah, sure, why not? But they really have just found a really good balance between telling people, no, this is the way our game is. If you don't like it, just go away. And they're okay with that because they know that at the end of the day, they're creating a game that a majority, if not a large populace, is going to want to play because it's a good game, not just because they're paying $15 a month. And that was definitely one of the reasons that they said that they chose to continue to do the free the non-subscription base and just use microtransactions, which are all cosmetic, by the way. So, go ahead.
I'm sure when they were in the development phase for the classes, they would have a big white dry erase board, and then would put down bullet points. This is how this is how this class should be played, and other ways that can be combined to play in cool, unique ways. This is what we should look for, and say, no, you're doing it wrong on the forums.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, no, we discussed this, you're doing it wrong.
Well, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me just because of how awesome they are. But last but not least, I want to go over just a little kind of quick introduction on how Glory works, and we'll kind of wrap up this long video. I appreciate you guys, those of you who have stuck around for the past 40 minutes. I appreciate you guys kind of listening to what we think about the game so far and just kind of our thoughts on PvP. But I want to explain a little bit how Glory works. Glory is a type of currency that can be used to upgrade the look. Keep that in mind. The look of PvP gear and armor. It is earned by playing structured PvP. That's the only way you can get it. And so the game tracks Glory in two ways. Basically, it tracks the amount that you spend, and it decreases with purchase. So it tracks your currently available, and it tracks your collective glory, which means the amount of glory you've earned to date. And right now there is 12 confirmed levels of glory ranks. Which go ahead.
I think the best way to use this would be analogy is it is both your currency and your experience.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a very, very good way to explain it. It's kind of a double-edged sword in that aspect. Definitely, your currency and your experience, or your rank, so to speak. I don't think.
Well, your experience never goes down, only your currency.
Well, right. So,
it's like if you've obtained this much glory in your time of playing, you get a rank.
Yeah, and the rank system is, like I said, it's been 12 confirmed. And the first rank is 1,600 glory. The next rank is 15,000. Then it goes 50,000, 150, 300, 75,000, 1.5 million, 3 million, and 7.5 million. Which sounds like a lot. 10, 11, and 12 have not been confirmed with the actual numbers. So I'm going to guess, wow, if rank 9 is 7.5 million glory, rank 12 will be close to half of 500 billion. That's a lot of glory.
That's a lot of PvP.
Well,
those dudes are going to look fucking badass.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that they'll probably tweak that because you get 5 glory a kill and 3 glory for a landed hit with the trebuchet. Now, I'm not sure if that counts for just, if the trebuchet fires and it hits the ground and hits one person, and if you get 3 glory for each thing, object, and person you damaged, then that'd be a really good way to rack up glory. But if it's just 3 glory for every trebuchet hit, then that'd be kind of a crappy way to do it. But I can't confirm that. We haven't actually tested that. That's actually something that I will test in the stress test coming up Tuesday.
I thought it was Wednesday.
What now?
I thought it was Wednesday.
Yeah, it's one of those days. I don't remember. It'll dude, come on. It's 1 a.m. Come on.
No one's gonna be on.
Well, you never know.
I'm convinced this is a European stress test.
Well, actually,
because it's perfect for them.
Yeah,
it's like 7 to 11.
Wrapping it up. I actually want to talk about stress test just a little bit. I was actually talking with my wife, and she actually said something that's kind of a good point, that all the kids are out on school, so they might be trying to see what their peak hours are going to be. Because kids in school, high school, junior high, and sometimes in college don't sleep much, and they do a lot of video game playing. But one in summer, so ArenaNet might be actually trying to get a correct depiction of which type of time and which time zone gives them the most at certain hours, which, makes sense, honestly. But it's kind of a crappy time for us US guys because we're either at work or we're sleeping. And in my case, I'm sleeping, so I'm going to be getting up early and playing 4 hours of Guild Wars 2. I'm not sure about you guys. But, yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys kind of listening to our 50-minute video, which is awesome. I really do appreciate it. More to come. Just make sure to check back, subscribe, comment, and leave feedback below. We really, really appreciate all the feedback that you do give us. And any other information that you do wish us to discuss, please, comments below. Say, hey, just discuss this class in depth, etc., etc. We will be going over World versus World and some of the kind of major events and kind of dungeons and jumping puzzles and stuff that you can actually find in World versus World, which we will be bringing on Nick and Travis from the Searing Podcast for that, because obviously Travis is the master of jump puzzles. and Nick is definitely not the master of jump puzzles. So, but thanks again, guys. Shriggs, closing thoughts, sir?
Kill me.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Shriggs. I appreciate that. And yeah, guys, till next time, take care. God bless.